Welcome to another episode of Growth Hacker TV. I'm Bronson Taylor, and today I have Jason Swenk with us. Jason, thanks for coming on the program.
Hey man, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I've been looking forward to this one. I've been following you online, seeing what you're doing. I'm super excited to have you on. For the people that don't know, I'll tell them a little bit about you. You ran a multi-million dollar marketing agency. You were able to sell that, and now you're actually in the business of coaching other entrepreneurs and other agency owners on how to have breakthroughs, how to think differently, how to scale, how to approach the same problems in new ways. And reading your blog, reading your website, the material you put out on a consistent basis is just incredible. And so I want to dig in today and see if I can extract some of that goodness from my audience. Sound good?
Actually, absolutely not. I don't give anything away.
Well, I tell you what, give us the teaser, and they'll come to you for the rest of it.
No, just kidding. I'll give you everything.
That sounds good, man. So first, before we jump into the coaching part of it, right? Let's talk about the agency that you ran, because a lot of people say they know what to do and they're willing to train you, but they actually have no idea what they're doing because they never did it themselves. I think that's one of the key, differences. Tell me about your agency. What was it? What was it like? What was the story there in a nutshell?
Yeah, I totally agree. There's so many people out there that they just kind of see the lifestyle that a lot of us live, and they're like, oh, we want to do that, and all we need to do is talk about success and motivation, and you can get there. I'm like, you're just full of crap. And so, so my agency, I started in '99, but I actually started I started before, I guess right after Al Gore invented the internet. And and I actually owe why I started the agency to Justin Timberlake, even though I've never, ever met him. But one of my best friends looked just like Justin. And so NSYNC was really big. So if you have any young people watching this, they're like, who's NSYNC? Look it up, Justin Timberlake. But I created a website called In Shit, and it got popular. And then people started asking me for websites. So literally I started from my apartment doing $500 websites. And then I just kept doing that, and I'm like, man, I can, people pay me for this. And then I started realizing that I couldn't do everything and I needed to hire people. So then I started hiring people, and then I started getting bigger and bigger clients. And eventually we started working with clients like Lotus Cars and AT&T and Aflac and Hitachi and LegalZoom and doing all this, really big work. And I'm not talking about like little slivers of stuff. I'm talking about like the websites and all that kind of stuff for them. And we did that for 12 years. We grew it to a really good sized team, multi-million-dollar agency. And then, someone offered me a nice sum for it. And I wanted to do something different, even though I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I took it.
Mm-hmm. What were the some of the mental breakthroughs that you had, as you went along your journey? Because I'm a big believer that it starts in the mind. If you can't have an idea, it's never actually going to happen. So, they're paying you $500 for a website. You start scaling up. Tell me some of the key moments in that growth over that 10 or 12 year period.
Well, I remember how to raise my prices. So none of us ever charge what we're actually worth, or actually look at the value that you actually deliver. And I remember, I think we were charging maybe 5 or 10,000 for websites at this point in time of this story. And this client calls us off the website and invites us in, and they want us to pitch to them a website. So I was like, okay. And so I walk into this office, and I'm like looking around. I'm like, man, this office is huge, and like a huge boardroom that goes way down. And I sit in, and it literally was like the suits, like all these suits, like just like me, if you guys can see the video, right? But like more professional. And I'm wearing a tuxedo t-shirt for people that can't see it. Yeah. But so they all walk in. I'm like, man, who is this company? And so I pitched to them. And literally at the time when we were doing this $5,000 websites, I had a paper proposal. And literally I was taking orders of like what they wanted, and I handed it to them. And they go, Jason, we liked everything that you had. Oh, there's one of my cats. There's one of them. Yeah. I always tell people my only competition is cat videos and procrastination. So look, your video is going to go viral since we have a cat.
We got it all. I mean, there's actual value here, and there's a cat in it.
And a tuxedo t-shirt.
T-shirt. I mean, we're golden.
you can't write this stuff.
No.
And so literally I present to them. They're like, Jason, we like everything, but your price that you offered is way low. And I was like, man, what is this? So I go back to the office, And I tell some of my employees, I was like, yeah, I met with some company that they thought 5,000 was too little. What should we be charging? Like, well, who was the company? And it was Berkshire Hathaway. And I never heard of them.
Kind of a big deal.
Yeah, kind of a big deal.
One of Warren
So
Buffett's now.
yeah, so that kind of got me over one of the I mean, we had so many different mental blocks that we jumped over, but it just opened my eyes up saying, oh man, I can charge more, even though 5,000 was such a big difference from 500,
Yeah.
a few years later. And obviously, eventually we started selling $1 million websites. So, there's a big jump, but that was one. And then another one was, knowing that I couldn't do everything. Like as entrepreneurs or an agency owner, we think that we go through different stages in our business, right? So at first it's kind of like, all right, figure it out how to get people to pay us money for something that we know how to do. And then we do that. Then it's like, all right, well, how do I scale it past myself? And that's the biggest thing. And it takes the right systems. Like I truly believe that systems outperform talent all day long.
Okay.
And if you have the right people, but you have bogus systems in place, you're not going to grow. And you have to have a documented process in order to do all that. And some of the systems are, knowing where you want to go, right? So many of us don't, they just, like me, like they create a website and shit, get a website, and then we don't have that clarity of where we want to go. And so it starts there. And then it really goes into kind of the positioning, like positioning for where we want to go. And then what's our offering? And then getting into the prospecting, right? So that's what a lot of people do wrong. But those are some of the shifts that, I'm thinking of right now.
So it seems like I'm hearing two like key themes here. Tell me if I'm wrong. And this might be what you teach other people. One is the systems, right? You said that explicitly. It's really teaching them systems, not talent, which is nice to hear because we can all be a part of a system. We can't all just be talented, right? You can't become a better designer, become a better coder overnight, but you can think more systematically about what you're doing. So I love that. And then the second one, it seems like you're talking about alignment, right? There's alignment in what do we exist for? Who is our customer? What are we doing for them? Are we charging the right amount given all of that? Is that a true way to say it? Alignment is a big piece of what you teach?
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, I mean, you have to know where you're going in order to actually get there. I mean, it's not by accident, right? It's like we'll start off the business kind of by accident, but then we need to figure out, what to do next, right?
I can hear the cats in the background.
They are actually cat fighting right now. And like when you were talking, I was like trying to text my wife, like over here, going like the cats are fighting, let them out.
Yeah, right.
Like literally, give me 1 second.
Do your thing. They're rumbling.
Wow, you didn't ever have that. I actually locked my kids upstairs. I should have locked the cats in different rooms, right?
This is a GHTV first for sure. So
the cat fight. You had a cat fight.
I had a cat fight. I love some link baits, so that's going to be the title. Watch me and Jason have a cat fight. And they're they got mad at each other. Let's see what they said.
That's right.
So let me ask you this: you talked about moving prices from 500 to 5,000. Is it easier just to add a zero and man up? Or do you get there slowly? Do you say, all right, 500, now we do one for 1,000? Like, do you just jump these huge increments and see what happens sometimes?
Well, you need to actually measure your value that you're providing, right? So, every particular client I talk to is never charging enough, but I never just say, hey, double your prices, right? Even though that would be easy to do. So basically I say, hey, well, tell me about the past couple successes you've had and the value that you've actually provided. And then we kind of try to backwards math that. And then the other thing too is it's kind of a perception thing, right? It's kind of like the Berkshire Hathaway, right? They were anticipating spending 200 grand on a website. So, and all of us, when we actually do our pricing, a lot of times we're trying to race to the bottom. And I'm like, don't race to the bottom, right? You want to race to the top. Even if you get less clients, you can get more. And then, you don't have to have a huge staff and you can actually do more. But, it's starting out with measuring how much value that you actually provide and knowing that. Like so many businesses don't know that. And if you don't know the value you actually provide, how are you going to market that? How are you going to sell? How are you going to create a culture where your employees understand the value that you provide? I remember having one of my project managers came to me one day and said, hey Jason, we're charging 150,000 for this website, and it only takes you probably about 11,000 to actually do as your cost. So how do you sleep at night? I'm like, really good. And then I
On a
proceeded.
$140,000 sofa.
There you go. And then I told her, I said, well, what you're not understanding is the value, and I'm sorry that I have not communicated that to you or to the team of the value that we actually provide to our clients, because they'll actually make millions from what we're actually doing here. So it's about understanding that in order to figure out everything else.
Totally. When you start, selling your value, you probably change the way you talk about it. It's not just we build you a website. It's no. We create a way for you to gain millions of value yourself, and we do it through a website, through this other stuff we do. And so you're not just saying, oh, I build a website. It's no. I do this thing that's very valuable for you, and here's what it is. Is that true?
Well, it's about what they want and what they struggle with, right? You're delivering them a solution, right? Even no matter what you do for your business, right? It's not about what you do or the features that you have. It's about how you can help someone and understanding what's the problems that they're having, and then what are their feelings that those problems are actually causing them. That's why they actually buy. And so when you can understand that, that changes kind of the whole perspective for everybody.
Yeah, it was interesting. This morning I got an email from a company about what they're going to do in 2017, kind of their beginning of the year thing, and it was a list of features they're going to have in 2017. And I thought, it just fell so flat. It's a company with promise, but these features mean nothing. Why are you building them? Who are you building these for? What was the person that made you need to build this feature? Like, I'm looking for the real marketing in this email, and there wasn't any. It was just, here's some features because we're going to engineer the crap out of this in 2017.
Yeah, it's crazy. When people lead with features, or they just have bad marketing. They have bad marketing people that are going to help them. So yeah.
No one wakes up saying, "I need these 3 features. I wonder where I can go find them." No one wakes up with a feature need.
No, I mean, even like I just bought a new Jeep, right? And so I got the Rubicon Hard Rock. It's got
Nice.
lots of really cool features on it, right? But if they sold to me like all the features, I wouldn't have probably bought it. But if they sold it to me where they said, hey, you can go to the mountains and no one's going to go over stuff that you can't, right? And and then you can be the badass for this, right? So I'm like, oh, cool, right? They're selling me something else.
And then you can go into features because that is allowed because of 20 different features on the Jeep. But none of them are the reason you bought. You bought to get to the top of the mountain. I think that's a great story that applies to every single product ever. And good marketers, good CEOs, good entrepreneurs will really hear that. Let me ask you this. We talked about features being one of those things that, don't matter as much as people think. What are some of the pitfalls that you see over and over? Agency owners come to you, they think the answer is X and it's not. What are some of those things they just keep getting in ruts about?
Well, they keep making themselves the star. And this is true with any particular business, right? And literally, if you think of as marketers, we're storytellers, right? We're telling stories. And if we make ourselves the star, if we make ourselves Batman, that makes our visitor and our prospect Robin, right? Wearing the ugly green tights.
That's awesome.
And I don't think anybody's ever dressed up as Robin for Halloween, right? No one wants to be Robin, right? Not the cool people, I would think. Right?
I would never want to be Robin.
No. So you can't be Batman, right? Because they want to be Batman. And so if they're Batman, then you need to be that trusted advisor, which is Alfred, right? The cool, guy that can actually guide Batman.
Yeah.
And so if you actually do that in your marketing, if you do that in everything that you do, then people are going to relate to you more. Right. And so if you go to any agency website or any website in general, they'll always be like, oh, we're the best agency. We do this and our best people and best process and all that, bullshit. Right. And that everybody else says. And the reason they do this is because they look at the bigger guys and they're doing it wrong. Right. But if they actually change that and they actually change it and saying, look, you're struggling and really gets laser specific at who they're actually helping. Right. And so if you go to my website and be like, hey, are you an agency owner and you're wanting to know how to grow, scale and possibly sell your agency? Then you need to click this magic little green button. Right. So it's going to relate to them a little bit more. And that's what they need to do.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love that analogy with Batman and Robin. It's something I want to keep in mind with my own marketing. Have you
Hmm.
ever seen an agency that couldn't be helped? They came to you, they wanted to grow, they actually could not add a zero to their bottom line. What is it that makes it just where this isn't going to work?
They're doing it for the wrong reasons. They are comfortable at where they're at. They're kind of at where Blockbuster was, right? They're like, oh, we're on top of the mountain. We're cool. We're real hip. We're the madmen, right?
Hmm.
Smoking whatever.
Uh-huh.
And then, I'm like, all right, well, if you're comfortable, that means you're going to go, your cat videos and procrastination people are going to go way by you, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I can't help those. Or there's a ton of people, I mean, out there that, they want to know how to do everything, but they're not willing to take the risk and actually freaking go do it,
Mm.
which, taking action. I mean, that's why I kick the shit out of everybody is because I take massive action. No one can out implement me. Like I will have an idea and I will go do it.
Yeah.
Right. And if I fail, no problem. I fail. And then I just go on to do the next thing. But too many people are afraid to kind of play the game. Right. So
Yeah.
if you think of like Monopoly, right, you should look at your business as Monopoly and say, all right, I'm just going to roll the dice. I may land on Boardwalk and I'll have to pay my son, all my money for all the hotels he has, but
Uh-huh.
then we can play again.
Yeah.
Right. I can live another day or I can work out a deal with them and be like, I'll take you to swim class or whatever, right?
Yeah. No, it's so true. I mean, I remember, I used to run an agency back in the day, same way, you did. Wasn't charging enough. And the first chance I had to charge 30,000 for a website, which was a mind-boggling number to me back then. I remember talking to my brother who was a partner with me in the business and saying like, look, we've never done a website for this much. And half the stuff they're asking for, we don't know how to do it. And then we just looked at each other and we're like, well, do we really think we're not going to figure it out? I mean, is it really possible that we're not going to figure this out? Of course we are. I mean, let's just go get the deal. We'll figure it out as we go. And we did. I mean, it was hard. It wasn't easy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But like we took that step and now we're not a $5,000 agency. We're a $30,000 agency. It was another kind of notch in the belt and we kept moving up from there. But you're right. You have to just do it. Like it was very uncomfortable. It wasn't that it was easy to go and do it. But it's I keep making those kinds of decisions the same way you do over and over with everything in life. I mean, you might fail. Okay, so what?
Yeah.
You might not also. And then you got this life that you designed that you actually want to live. Um, so let me ask you this. So 2017, you got into the agency game in 99. You've really seen the entire thing. I mean, I don't know if there was much of an agency game before 99. I was designing websites in 99 also. It was like nothing, right?
Yeah. Netscape Composer, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was in the Microsoft one, front page.
Front page
Yeah.
and GeoCity hosted websites.
Oh
Yeah.
man, my first website was in GeoCities. It was I figured out how to put a GIF of fire on the page, and I was like, I'm a genius. I just put a
Yeah.
fire GIF on the page.
I remember you had to log into Telnet and do a change mode 755 in order for an image to actually be able to get permission to actually view. That's how
Man,
stupid it was.
that's yeah, it was crazy. So you've seen it all, 99 to now. What is new? What is the trend? What do you think is going to happen in 2017 and beyond that's different for the agency game?
Being more really kind of narrowing down and being more personal, right? Agencies are trying to look really, really big. And I think the smaller you look and the more kind of boutique and more niche down, I think is the sexier part of it, for people because when I started, you had to say a full service agency because there was not that much, right?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have all these different things. I mean, there's Snapchat agencies, there's Instagram stories agencies, like there's tons. So like, I always laugh when someone says they have a full service agency because I know they're full of shit,
It's
right?
impossible.
I'm like, you can't be, right? I mean, even like Vander Media, which is a really big agency, they don't say they're a full service agency, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, come on, So you just got to kind of play to your strengths, and do what you do best,
Mm-hmm.
right? And don't be afraid to kind of I almost want people to say no to stuff because they're
Mm-hmm.
saying yes to everything. And I had a hard time doing that at the agency and my business. And but I realized that if I said yes to the wrong thing, I was saying no to the right thing.
Hmm.
And that's how I actually started charging more too. Like I remember one client came to me, I was like, oh, there's no way I want to work with him, but I don't want to tell him no. So 80,000. And then he said, yes. I'm like, shit, what do I do?
Yeah.
I was like,
I,
well, I'll do it.
yeah, I used to add a jerk tax, it was an invisible jerk tax. And if they
Pain in
took
the
it, it
ass
was
fee.
worth it. Yeah. If they
Yeah.
took it, then I was willing to do it, but it was a stupid fee.
Yeah. Yeah. The tax,
Yeah,
the
I mean,
stupid
you
tax.
got to do what you got to do. That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. All right, so a couple final questions here. These are ones I like to end every interview with. One is, what are you doing right after this interview is over, no matter how boring, mundane, or awesome it is?
I will go play with my kids that are upstairs locked in the room.
Yeah,
And then
you should let them out.
I'll let one of my cats outside so they don't kill each other.
Awesome. And then, what is the best advice you have for anyone that's trying to grow their startup, whatever that startup might be?
Don't think of success, think of significance.
Hmm.
And so, my dad taught me that through his actions. It's like success is only like, hey, I'm making money, or, I make this amount for this company, or I get this amount of awards. Like that's
Hmm.
success. But if, the true kind of holy grail is being significant, right? People need you, where people need, like what you do actually makes them successful. And then if you
Hmm.
can get even better than that, what you do actually makes them significant to other people, right?
Hmm.
And so, that would be the advice I would tell you.
That's awesome advice to end on. I like the way you approach everything. I love the systems thinking. I love that everything's aligned. I love that it's about significance, not just the bottom line. It seems like if you really put together the whole package of what you're teaching, it's the kind of life you can be proud of, when you're done living it. So, Jason, thank you so much for coming on Growth Hacker TV and sharing your wisdom.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.